this film also had the creepiest Santa. And you can,
oh my god, yes! We need to find the fourth dimension, and by finding all these tiny little perfect things that happen in our neighborhood or in our town or whatever, we're gonna find the fourth dimension, and we're missing one. I'll pick Andrew Garfield. Peter 3.
Peter 3. I believe I put that on.
Ooh, that comic book filter.
This green ball?
This green tennis ball is Vecna, yeah. We're talking about Chippendales the dancers, right? Not Chippendales the chipmunks? Okay, I'm just making sure. I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about.
I think I'm just going to talk like this through the entire podcast.
Just right up at the front.
I think this won't be annoying at all.
This is how we used to talk with Richard all the time.
Fuzzy Richard. What a man. Man of hidden talents. Man of many talents.
Now I'm going to break out all over my top lip from being that close to my microphone.
Oh boy. Hey, Cinema Peeps.
Hey, Cinema Peeps.
I hope you're having a happy Tuesday.
Yep.
The snow is finally slowly disappearing, and we might have spring for 0.2 seconds before either snow comes back or
yeah, which is it now? We've either just entered or are in the midst of muddy season, and then we're almost into windy season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's how it be.
How it be in Berta.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then by the time like the green grass comes and everything, then it's like, aha, summer, hot as balls. And you're like,
mm-hmm. But last year we didn't even, I don't know about you, but we didn't even get green grass because of how hot and dry it was.
Ooh.
Like my yard was brown.
Oh.
Yeah.
Brown grass?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure Arnie just didn't poop and wipe his bum on the grass?
That contributed to it too, yes. But because we didn't get much rain last year too, it was very hot and dry, so the grass didn't get a chance to really flourish. Yeah.
Darn grass. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the importance of that rain. But then it gets really muddy.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, it's like, but it's more when you're trying to walk dogs and they're like, ooh, I'm going to stick my paws in here. And you're like, please don't.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to wash your paws. And they're like, don't touch me. And I'm like, you just ran through that mud puddle like no one's business. Like, what? Why are you now afraid of this little water? Something in those doggies' DNA.
Who knows?
Silly poopies. Silly poopies.
Mm-hmm.
I saw on Snapchat you have been watching Ted Lasso, catching up on Ted Lasso.
Yes, I am currently caught up with Ted Lasso.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have to wait because my parents aren't home, so now I can't watch Ted Lasso.
Man.
I know, but I'm all caught up as of right
what
now.
They don't know won't kill them.
Right, I could probably fake
We have a podcast to do, people.
Right? We got shit we gotta do.
We need to watch the content.
Right? So I don't know if you want to share any of your recent thoughts on Mr. Ted Lasso.
Yes, we could do that. I'm down to do that. I'm trying to think what else I watched this week. I
watched 2 movies.
Did you?
I did.
Well,
movies is a loose term.
Oh, okay. What did I watch? I attempted to watch Jurassic World Dominion. Dominion?
Oh.
Is that what it's called?
Domination? Yeah.
Dominions? I don't know.
Maybe.
Dominance?
Because that just kind of came on the streaming service, right?
Yes, it's officially on Crave now for free to watch. But I got maybe 10-15 minutes into it and was immediately like, yeah, no, I need to turn it off. And I really only wanted to watch it for like the Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern and the other guy whose name slips my mind, but
whoever you
Dr.
are.
Grant, whoever Dr. Grant is. I can't remember the actor's name, but Dr. Grant. Yeah, I wanted to watch for them, and I got right up to the point where they were just about to meet Jeff Goldblum, and I don't know. There's something, again, no offense to Chris Pratt, but it's like all he does in the movie is this. And I had enough at that point. I was like, yeah, I'm going to turn this off now. It's not sucking me in.
Like I said, I think the second one just left such a bad taste in my mouth. I just had no desire to watch this third one.
Yeah.
But now that it is free, I'm like, I could maybe justify like a day. And if I don't enjoy it, I'll just start playing Switch. I have some Pokemon adventures I could catch up on and other things. So.
Right.
I normally don't condone multitasking like that, but if it's something where it's like I just can't be bothered, I'm like, I'll just multitask it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the fact that they used, and whatever, like keeping up with the technology, but they used too much CGI for the dinosaurs in these newer installations, and I think that was why everybody loved the original one so much, was that it was a good mix of both, but it was seamless. You couldn't really tell. So I felt like I could really, really tell the difference between, because there was a scene in the beginning that I remember seeing where Blue, the raptor, I believe she has a baby now, or at least there's a younger raptor with her at this time. But there was a scene where the two of them were like, it was like teaching the baby how to hunt. The baby was an actual like robotronic puppet or whatever, but Blue was animated. Blue was CGI. So again, maybe my eyes are going weird, but I could definitely tell the difference between the two. And so I don't know. That was one thing I really enjoyed about the original Jurassic Park movies, was that, you know, it was seamless, at least for the most part, but they did use a lot more robotronics and stuff, which was cool.
Yeah. I always what are words? Because there's that scene from the first ever Jurassic Park where Laura Dern, I think they're walking up to I want to say Bronchiosaurus. It's not a Bronchiosaurus, but don't quote me on that. But it was when the T-Rex was loose and was like just kind of killing for sport. And like she puts her hand on the dinosaur and it's bleeding.
Oh yes, yep.
And like that is all real, and yet it's like it was mind-boggling. I was just like, obviously they got a real dinosaur. They just loaned it from the store. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But even thinking about the first one, it definitely felt more intense.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know the first, like the Jurassic World, didn't really capture that, and I think it more capitalized on nostalgia and like updating it a little bit. But like, I still really enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was fun. And then they're like, time to make a trilogy, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. No. And of course, studios are like, cha-ching, yes. Cha-ching, yes.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God. So, I don't know. Like I said, maybe one of these days I'll watch Domination of the fucking
Dominoes.
3 Dominoes. Jurassic World Dominoes, but I just, yeah. Maybe that'll be one I'll have to multitask. Maybe I'll be playing Switch or something while I watch it.
Right.
That's too bad if after 15 minutes you're like, nah.
I know, right? And I was like really curious to want to watch it because I do, like I said, I like all the Jurassic Park movies. And so I was like, okay, let's see what we got here. But yeah, I don't know, these newest ones, like you said, the first of the newest was cool because of nostalgia, and like, I mean, the idea of, okay, we've now officially brought oh my gosh, his name, the old guy. Why can't I think of his name? Oh my God.
The old guy. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Attenborough. He we have we've brought his dream to life now. Like, this theme park exists, it's a thing, and it's real. And what happens, exactly what they basically were trying to prevent and tell him and warn him about the entire 3 movies prior, was that this is not a good idea, but we're still gonna do it anyway. So that was interesting and bringing some callback to that. But then, yeah, like you said, when they're like, okay, time to make a trilogy after that, it's like, no, I don't think we need to.
Right? Like, that second one, I was like, huh. Like I said, left a nasty taste in my mouth, and I was just like, I just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Can't be bothered.
Because now there's something to do with this girl who's like a clone of like
his daughter, and I'm like, a lot of
yeah, there was a lot less focus on the dinosaurs and a lot more on the people. And in this particular instance, I don't care. I want to know about the dinosaurs.
Which is funny when they're like, let's have a movie about dinosaurs, but let's talk about the people.
Yeah.
No one's ever been like, God, this dinosaur movie has too many dinosaurs. I wish there was more about the people, the everyday Joe. Like, no.
Right? Like, I want to see Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt's relationship blossom. No thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, let's watch that really forced thing happen on screen.
Yeah.
Get these dinosaurs out of here. Yeah, said by no one in history, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
You can quote me on that. Well, the 2 movies I watched were Hallmark classic movies.
Oh. Like Christmas classic or just like regular Hallmark?
Regular, because, spring is a confusing time for Hallmark, so they just have a strange mishmash on their things. So I was looking on demand because I saw this, a clip of this show. Speaking of, Is It Cake? Food Network has made their own version where they're like, stab that cake, where they just have people run around a grocery store and they have to stab objects with a knife to see which one is the cake. And I was like, wow, okay, sure, let's just have people running around with knives. That's even better.
Oh my god. I think I lost a few brain cells just just trying to comprehend how that works.
10 out of 10, right?
Wow.
I saw like a little blip of it when I was on the elliptical. So I was gonna go check on demand, but then I was like, oh, let's see what Hallmark has to offer on this random. Yeah, like I said, spring is weird for them. They don't know what they're doing, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw 2 murder mystery ones that caught my attention.
Ooh.
But I realized after doing research while I was watching them that they were like the 2nd and 3rd movie in their trilogy. So I was like, well, this is just fucky. Can't watch anything out of order, but I did. So, there you go.
Damn.
One was the gourmet. Oh my god. The Curious Caterer.
Curious Caterer. Okay.
Yeah, where a catering lady from her business teams up with a detective. And that, of course, caught my eye because I was like, are you fucking kidding me? At least with, like, I mean, in the real world, like, police do have, like, consultants, but it's never, like, in just, like, somebody so outside of their industry,
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they've had one where it's like, oh, murder mystery writers. And it's like, I guess.
Yeah.
And again, one of my favorite, the Murder Bake Show with Allison Sweeney. She's also a baker that solves mysteries. And I remember that one stuck out because in the middle of the mystery, she goes, I'm going to make some chocolate chip cookies and think about the case. And so it was a montage of her making cookies. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's where we're at. So I was like, all right, so Curious Caterer was up there because I was like, why? And then the other one was love couple Alexa Vega? Yeah, Alexa Vega and her hubby. I keep wanting to call him Carlos because he's from Big Time Rush.
Okay.
They're in a Hallmark called Picture Perfect, where a detective teams up with a photographer.
Oh boy.
Again, wow. And both of those, yeah, it was weird. So yeah, the Curious Caterer, they had the 2nd movie up there, and Picture Perfect was 3, but I figured I didn't miss much in between those, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch them. And I ended up watching them back to back because apparently I was that bored.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. They were interesting gems for sure. Curious Caterer was also just weird because in the opening, like 2 seconds, the caterer, she is catering for her friend's birthday party.
Okay.
And again, because I hadn't watched the first, this is when I had to Google and be like, I'm missing something. And she's catering for her friend, and her friend's boyfriend comes out, and they just go macking hard, like uncomfortably making out in front of people. I was like, that's gross. But then she says this line of like, oh, well, your ex-husband, now my boyfriend. I was like, oh, what? And so I'm like watching this movie and I'm like, ew, it is. Like, it's her ex-husband and your friend just macked on him. Like, I was like, that's nasty.
All right, off to a great start.
It was. And then it had, and they have a daughter together, and the daughter is the girl from the Christmas Village.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, hello, you again. was like, oh, hello. Is there a Christmas village for you to be like, hello? But, yeah, so her friend ends up dying. Yeah, she gets murdered. I know. And then they try to blame her ex-husband. She's like, he would never do this. And I was like, I don't know, man. He just like backed out with her pretty hard in front of you. I would be like, yeah, sure, he did it.
Yeah.
Send him away. I don't care. Much healthier relationship that I would ever have. But there's this neighbor character, and I was like, oh my god, that looks like a gremlin doppelganger Jeff Bezos looking motherfucker. And what a twist. He was the murderer. I was like, Dan. I mean, I called it because he looked like Jeff Bezos. So I was like, yeah. Sorry, Jeff Bezos, but you are a supervillain. I'm sorry. It is the truth.
Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that was an interesting trip. And then I was like, well, might as well watch Picture Perfect, because that makes sense. And again, I know these are Hallmark films, and I probably asked for way too much. But I felt that one's plot was a little thin, a little too much over the not over the top. No, a little too much all over the place, like my thoughts. Like they would like bring up part of the mystery, but then like never come back to it. So I was like, I guess this is the answer. I mean, no one said it, but I guess it is. So we're moving on.
Moving on, yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah, that was the third movie in that trilogy, and I was like, okie dokie. I was like, okie dokies.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I mean, like, the leads obviously have good chemistry, because I'd hope so, because they're married in real life, so it'd be pretty awful to have shitty chemistry with your own partner, but, you know.
On screen, yeah.
Well, that was pretty nice, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I could have wrote it better. I liked where they were going, but I was like, I feel like we could have wrote a couple better things, and bada bing, bada boom. Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, but I guess it's like you said, spring's a confusing time for Hallmark, and I'm sure they have to ride a fine line to be able to stay within their bounds, right? So
they're just trying to get to Christmas.
Yeah.
They just produce whatever they can so they can get back to Christmas, and then they're like, woo, boys,
they're like, unleash the hounds!
Pretty much. I think they spend 90% of their resources making Christmas films throughout the year.
Yeah.
So then they can pump them all out in October, as we've learned.
Yep.
And then they do pump a couple up for Valentine's Day. I also saw they had a book club lovers trilogy of movies.
Okay.
And looks like they have, like, okay, that was why I went on there. I was trying to find the Wedding Veil one that you talked about last year.
Yes!
And they're never on there.
What?
There's like 2 of the new ones. I'm like, who the fuck wants 2 out of... First of all, who wants 2 out of the 3 when you're packaging them as a 3?
As a trilogy, yeah.
Right? The one-time people, I would like a trilogy. And then, like, yeah, only have 2. And then I was like, why can't you fucking get your shit together?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm settled to watch these weird-ass mystery ones.
Yeah, yeah. Well, damn, I hope that the Wedding Veil one comes back, because that one at least had some substance to it.
Substance. But yeah, that is what I got around to doing. I was like, maybe I'll watch this. Maybe I'll watch this. And then I'm like, Hallmark. Yes. Because my brain is just... my brain is not functioning, so let's do it.
Let's do it. Nice. I also started watching a new game show, I guess you could call it, a variety show, maybe. Starring Jimmy Fallon. Called That's My Jam.
Oh, I think I've seen ads for it. And he has celebrities, and they basically do like his singing wheel impression thing, right? But now it's a show.
Like a few of the skits that he's done in the past on the Tonight Show, he's basically kind of conglomerated them all into a game show, which is actually really entertaining. He kind of does like a wheel of impressions thing. He has like a charades kind of game, and then he always ends it off with the slay it don't spray it challenge, because that was one thing he used to have on his show too, where it used to be him and his celebrity guest would compete against each other singing karaoke, but then they'd get to like one point in the song and all the lyrics would be erased off the screen, and they had to try to like match the lyrics properly. And if they got the lyrics wrong, they'd get sprayed by the microphone with water. So that's like the final like battle round as the premise of this show.
I see.
But it's a lot of fun to watch, actually. I've been enjoying watching it.
I mean, like you're saying, like if they're already playing the games on the show on his Tonight Show, it makes sense to make it into into a game show.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought the Wheel of Impressions was really funny, but then I was like, they oddly seem to pick people who always suit this. So then I was like, it's probably not randomized.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how that works then in a show format where I feel like it would be successful if you randomized it, but...
Well, the way they do it in this version is he calls it Impossible Karaoke, or the Wheel of Impossible Karaoke or whatever. And so instead of doing basically like a Wheel of Impressions kind of deal, you have different... there's a few different kinds. There's one where you had to either... you had to lip sing the song, but then you also had backup dancers come on stage and you had to try to follow their moves as best as possible. And then at some point you just kind of like freestyle it through. So it's like an improv show, basically. You just do a lot of improv with the performers. And obviously a good chunk of the guests are musical in some way. They can either sing or they're performers in some way. Or, you know, he'll have the odd comedian like Joel McHale who just kind of adds some like fun to it. I think John Stamos was on a couple episodes ago too. And so there's that. Or there's one where like what Kiki Palmer did, which was really cool, was he had her do I can't remember the name of the category, but basically he's like, okay, so the songs that she ended up picking were Don't Stop Believing by Journey and oh my gosh, what was the one song? Dua Lipa's Don't Stop Now.
Okay.
So what she did was the band played Journey's song as the melody, but she sang the lyrics of Dua Lipa's song. And it actually worked really well together, so it was kind of cool that they'd like mash up these songs together and then the artist would perform it and the audience would vote as to which team did it the best or whatever. And then there was one where you have to he's had all different like games for each episode so far. There's one where he has a bunch of instruments lined up and one person on the team has to run to the instrument that's lit up and they have to try to like play the song that's on the card. So it'll be like play
oh my god.
Yeah, play Journey, and then you have to like, even if you don't know how to play the instrument, you just have to try to figure out how to play it so that they can guess, and it's just so funny.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's wild, it's wacky. If you like improv kind of stuff and music, I enjoy it. It's fun.
I'll be honest, that sounds straight out of my nightmares. Kayla, you have to perform the song on this instrument. Okay. And I can't do it. Or I'll master it. And then I'm like, well, I should obviously play this when I'm awake because I'll clearly be great at it. And it's like, oopsie, definitely not.
Yeah, but that's the fun of the game is because you might surprise yourself or you just do your best and the person's kind of like, what? And they have to guess. I think one of the reasons why I really like Jimmy Fallon a lot is because he tries to kind of bring back the entertainment factor of those shows from back in the day. He's very similar to Johnny Carson, if anybody was familiar with him. He's the one who was the original Tonight Show host. And he kind of did the same sort of shtick as Jimmy Fallon, where he'd have these like funny little skits or these little games in between. And it was just all meant to be like a fun time for celebrities and guests to goof around and laugh. And so that's why I really enjoyed Jimmy Fallon, is because he keeps that spirit alive. It's kind of like mixing Saturday Night Live and all that kind of stuff together.
Okay. I mean, it's also smart, I guess, to diversify a little bit. I mean, I always hear it from like YouTubers because I think in that kind of industry you have to diversify. So it isn't it, but it is interesting to watch like It's weird calling them mainstream celebrities, but I guess that's kind of what they are. They're more mainstream or household names. Yeah, that's better. You know, diversifying their library and like having other shows to do.
Yeah,
not just the one.
And I wonder too, like, I don't know, I haven't delved too much into the news of it all, but I do know that I've heard that his Tonight Show isn't getting very many views. And the last couple of times I have watched the Tonight Show, he's not done skits. It's just been more like the guests. He'll interview the guests and kind of have like a couple of clips in between. And I think that was the thing that people loved the most about his show back in the day, was when he'd have celebrities who wanted to participate in all these skits, and like when he'd have Justin Timberlake on there, and they'd all do all these fun little things, right? And so I think maybe he's, I don't know for sure, but my guess is that he's maybe going to step down from the Tonight Show at some point and just maybe branch out and do this instead, because it's still doing what he loves to do, and clearly you can see he loves doing these types of things. But he's obviously going to maybe try and make them their own standalone stuff instead of it being under the Tonight Show now. Gives him more of an ability to invite more of his friends around to do stuff, because maybe, who knows, maybe whoever's in control of the Tonight Show, he can only pick certain people. Obviously, he has to pick relevant people. He has to talk about relevant topics, and unfortunately, a lot of that has to do with politics and stuff too. So he's very limited, I think, in what he has to do on his show now. Whereas it seems like this way he can kind of do more of what he wants to do by branching out. That's my guess. I don't know.
I just feel like not, you know, specifically being like Jimmy Fallon, but like all late night talk show. I think it's just like a dying thing. And I think, again, just a theory, you know, I'm kind of bad for this, is that like I've never watched like a full episode of a lot of these shows. I'll just watch, again, like the clips of like the guests playing the games,
right?
Or, you know, them doing the interview bits, you know. So when you were saying like, oh, that's all he does now is just the interview bits, like, to me that almost makes sense. So because now the episode is easier to like maybe cut into segments of like that interview, so then they can post it online.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it is smart then. Again, if that's kind of the way, if you're saying with like the numbers and stuff, like if that's their way of being like, okay, well, this is what people like. So in theory, people who still own cable should be liking this too. You know? And yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't really have an attachment to late night shows. So
right.
Again, I just kind of watch all the highlight clips. Maybe I'm part of the problem. I just watch all the clips online.
Well, and there's just so many platforms for things nowadays too, right? And as the world shifts and evolves, right now podcasts are the big thing. So podcasts kind of have taken over for talk show hosts, because it's like, I mean, obviously you still have the people who like to visually watch what's happening. But majority of the time, if you're just chatting with somebody, all you need is the audio, right? Yeah. So a lot of people have been able to obviously find more success in either hosting their own podcast shows or just turning the talk show type things into podcasts. And unfortunately, you know, the common thing with a lot of talk shows, especially in the last few years, has been, you know, the politics of it all, right? Like, it's if we're not reporting on what's happening with the government or some sort of news, there's nothing really else to talk about other than what's this new movie that you're promoting and stuff like that. Like, I don't know for sure, but to me, it seems like there's a limitation to what is done or what the requirements of the talk shows are based off of the studio, the producers, whoever's involved, right? Whereas I guess, you know, now he has, in this case specifically, he has more freedom to do the things that he really wants to do, because that was why everybody really enjoyed watching Jimmy Fallon, was because he not only had the hosts that were promoting their movies on, but he's like, let's do something fun with them, right? Yeah.
Help promote said movie, baby.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's part of the problem. Like, when it feels like the talk show is only there to promote things, it's like, isn't this supposed to be a talk show? So maybe, yeah, things like podcasts are people just want to gravitate towards, because I know there's a couple podcasts I just listen to because it's people just talking. And like, I don't know if this is a very sad statistic or not, but like some people just will have it on while they're like eating their meals. Because if you like live alone, you know, sometimes it's just nice to have like, you know, feel like you're there, you know, feel like you have other people there. Whereas if it's like somebody like, you know, clearly like trying to promote a movie, whereas like sometimes when they talk about behind the scenes stuff, like obviously we would find that really cool. Yeah. But maybe to the average person, they're just like, I don't really care. Yeah. Which is totally valid.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I mean, at the same time too, when you think about like somebody promoting their movie on a talk show versus promoting it on a podcast, you're only given a small window of time to be able to talk about what you want to talk about and then promote your movie at the same time. Whereas on a podcast, you could go in depth as long as you want. You got a whole hour all to yourself. You can, and people I think like to listen to going into more in-depth conversations about stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess that's maybe where the shift is now, is that's where it works better, is people want to hear from these people and see these people, but they want the whole hour dedicated to them.
Yeah.
Not just okay, here's this little bit where you're going to talk, give us one little highlight from your movie, and then on we go, on to the next person, right? Yeah, because I mean, who else is there? There's Jon Stewart, there's Stephen Colbert, there's John Oliver, there's Jimmy Kimmel, there was James Corden, and James Corden looks like he's also, hanging up his hat and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank goodness. Oh my god. Woof, that show hurts.
Yeah.
I because all I watched was clips. I would watch him do the carpool karaoke with guests, and I always thought that was fun.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's cool. Then I actually watched an episode of his show, and I was like, this is dog shit. What the fuck?
And I won't point fingers at James Corden, but I also feel like he was kind of riding Jimmy Fallon's coattails, because he was doing similar stuff, right? He was doing the same sort of skits. He had his own version of them, but Jimmy Fallon, to me, he was the one who kind of started doing all those things, or at least carrying them on from like the Johnny Carson days. But yeah, like carpool karaoke was cool. It was fun to a fun thing to watch him do with people. But yeah,
that man rubs me in the wrong way.
James Corden?
After he used his rat costume to hump against someone's car, I was like, ooh, never again, please no. And now apparently it sounds like he is a pretty shitty person. So I'm like, cool beans.
Who knows, right?
Cool beans.
Yeah.
So honestly, when he was like, I'm going to retire, I was like, thank you. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And maybe that's also like a problem, not a problem, but maybe that's another factor, right? Is this oversaturation of late night talk shows. And if they are, not stealing, but creatively boring their ideas, it's like, why would I watch this show when maybe I prefer this person doing it over this?
Right.
Or why am I now watching this twice, essentially?
Yeah. And even like you could think, I don't know, like because I know Russell Brand has his own podcast, I guess it is. YouTube podcast type thing. And he's, got a lot of very controversial stuff that he talks about sometimes. He brings guests on, talks about different things. So of course that isn't going to be, or at least not well received, but no people there, they don't want to show that kind of thing on mainstream TV because it's controversial, right?
Yeah.
So going from someone like the Jon Stewarts and the John Olivers and the Stephen Colberts, who kind of focus on more the political side of things, but they're told, what they have to talk about, and there's only so much they can talk about, and they can't get too in depth and things. It's kind of controlled what they can talk about. Whereas with Russell Brand, again, he's got his own podcast. He can say whatever he wants, talk about whatever he wants, invite on whoever he wants, and there's no limitation to it. He's just talking about his point of view, what he believes in, and making it a space to educate people, as there are probably tons of other people. I only brought that up just because I saw a clip of him today on there, so I was like, oh, okay. But yeah.
I don't know. I've never gotten that vibe from talk shows, but excuse me. I've never gotten that vibe from talk shows, but I mean, I don't know, any topic you talk about, regardless of what it's about, is always going to be from whoever perspective that is. Now, could it be from the host? Because I have noticed a lot of those, again, like the people you listed, do write part of the show. So, someone could be part of their voice, but is also part of a room of writers.
Yep.
As well. And again, like you said, there's probably, to a degree, the studio has their own input. How much? No idea.
Yep.
But just like in life, everybody has their own opinions. So
yep.
I don't know. Just watch what you want to watch, I guess. Just don't watch James Corden. If you watch James Corden, that's where I draw my line in the sand. Have your own opinions, but that's one I'm like, no, thank you. No, thanks.
But ultimately, to get back to your point from earlier, I guess that's maybe why talk shows are becoming, as you said, like a dying breed kind of thing, because there's that limitation there. Being on television, you've got a limited amount of time to talk about what you want to talk about. Plus, you've got, limitations to what you can talk about too. So now that podcasts are becoming a thing, everyone's got more freedom of speech, and with Jimmy Fallon, he clearly is very passionate about comedy and slapstick comedy and improv and stuff, being that he's an SNL alumni too. He's always tried to keep that spirit with him. I personally, just as a fan of him, am happy to see that he's trying to take that into other avenues and keep the spirit alive still, because it's a fun thing and it brings families and people together. And clearly he's able to, like, obviously make some cool games out of it. I see lots of people trying these games at home too. So it's just a fun thing to watch, right?
Oh, sorry. I thought of one more thing.
Yeah?
I don't want to be like that grouch person, but, like, there's no diversity. But, like, really, all the people we just listed, again, no shots against them, but they're all males. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
We're not saying being a male is wrong, but, like, the fact that it's all just, like, all we listed was just men. Now, I know Lily Sings tried her hand and did a very bad job, you know, but...
I never watched her show, but I knew that it got canceled.
Yeah, I mostly, again, to be fair, I just watch commentary videos on it, but I feel that's all I ever want to watch and need to watch. But I'm like, again, like, there are, you know, we could go on, but, like, you know, and again, kind of like you're saying with podcasts, I just feel like there's more diversity in podcasts. There's just different people you could hear from. And again, like, I can't imagine, I mean, to be fair, I don't know how any of, you know, I don't know how studios work, but you mean, hopefully in the future we'll have less, you know, just men hosting late night shows. Maybe we'll have, you know, more women. I know I think the trope is they do like the daytime TV.
Yeah.
You know, but, like, it would be nice. Like, I don't see why we can't have other people hosting other things, you know?
Yeah, honestly, no, you make a very valid point. There are a few women that I can think of but they're more, like, on the realm of either comedy news or, like, news. They have their kind of segments and stuff like that. But no, you're right. And I mean, ultimately, again, like, going back to the Tonight Show, like, I think the Tonight Show was one of the very first talk shows that kind of started back in the day. And then everybody kind of branched off and had their own. Like, I think Betty White had her own show at one point in time back in the day. There was, oh my gosh, what's her name? Mary Tyler Moore had a show back in the day. Like, there was a lot of women who had talk shows back in the day, that I can recall too. But yeah, like, as far as, like, late night shows, Tonight Show was the main thing. And then everyone just kind of branched off and did their own thing or created their own after that too.
Or, like, people who were promised the role who then didn't get it, started their own late night talk show. Yeah,
exactly.
Which is wild.
It was like Jay Leno had it before Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Fallon had his late night with Jimmy Fallon. But that was late night with Conan first. Yeah. And then, so there's, like, all these things.
Because I can't remember. I think Cohen, he was a writer for the Tonight Show.
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah.
And I think they were going to be like, yeah, it's going to be you. Psych. And then he's like, I'm going to do my own thing. Which, I mean, you know, props to him. I think there was somebody else, too, had something very similar. But, yeah, so maybe that is another reason why maybe there's not a lot of late night women. But, you know, just some different voices now and again can't hurt. Can only benefit. But who knows? Maybe if they revamp in a couple years, and maybe things will be different.
Yeah, it's true.
You never know.
Yep.
You never know.
Because I also think too, like, I feel like as far as the studio goes, they also look for, like, again, not that this is right in any way, but they would look for appeal in people too, right? So it's like, oh, you're a charming, appealing person. Everybody likes you, so they'll want to watch you. And, you know, so diverse wise, that's not right, because, like, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people, regardless of their gender, who would be a good candidate for a host. So, even if there was probably a woman who wanted to have her own, like Lily Singh, let's say, for instance, she's funny, she's a YouTuber, a lot of people really liked her. I don't know what the reason was, because, again, I didn't watch it, so I don't know what the quality of her show was like. But there's also that factor that the studios look for, too, is appeal, right?
Yeah, appeal and, like, sellability, I think.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, I feel like we're still in that phase where we're like, only white people. And we're like, you know, there's other voices, too. Well, but I think there's a difference between being, like, kind of like you're saying, like, how did you phrase that? My words can't connect. What the fuck were you just saying?
Appeal?
Appeal. think it's between being like appealing and charismatic. Because I feel there's probably so many like charismatic, people who have better thoughts in their head than me apparently, and can like articulate better, you know. And then there's like kind of like this appeal where it's like, oh, you will appeal to more people, so we were going to pick you. Like, maybe you should go for someone charismatic, you know? That could work too. But you know, we'll see. We'll see how the late night show train goes. But you know, good luck to Jimmy and all his crazy shows. Well, I think I'll do it for today's episode.
Yeah.
But thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to leave a comment on anything we talked about today, there's a comment section down below. We would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. If you guys have any movie recommendations or have watched anything cool recently, definitely let us know. We can add it to our ever-growing list of things we're never going to get to. But it's still appreciated. Yeah. Also, leave us a deuce. If you know, you know. And consider subscribing to Two Pretty Cool Gals, in my opinion. But, you know, just my opinion. And, watch all the content, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Monkey.
Monkey.
Slow.